Hey YouTube, how the heck you doing? I'm doing great and I hope you are too. Got a little RAM review here for you today. I got two identical Surface Pros here. Well, they're not quite identical. One is a 4GB RAM and the other one is a 8GB RAM. And why do I have both? Well, a little while ago Microsoft decided to come out with a different version of their Surface Pro and up their 4GB RAM to a 8GB at the same price. So I thought I would jump on the bandwagon, give myself a little extra RAM, and the 4GB will be going out the door and on sale for me. And I'm going to just work with this guy, but I thought I'd do a little comparison test because everybody knows the better the RAM you have, or the more RAM you have, the better your machine runs. So I did a few quick tests between the two using most of the programs that I use, such as Edge, the web browser that they have on the Microsoft Surface, Photoshop, and Lightroom CC, which is my mainstay as far as what I use on it. So I did a few tests on that, and last time when I reviewed the original 4GB Surface Pro that I have here, which I mistakenly said megabytes, and I probably was around in the time when a computer did come with 4 megabytes of RAM, but this one is the 4GB, and the newer one, the 8GB that I picked up, is on this side. So I did a few tests on it, did some boot up tests, and they were fairly close, I would say. Obviously the 8GB did pull ahead as far as doing extra boot times. The quickest I had for that one was 12.67 seconds of boot up time, and the quickest boot up time I had on the 4GB was at 13 seconds. So not much difference between the two. I do have to say, when I did a cold boot from the very beginning with not even getting it warmed up and stuff, it was 15 seconds for the 8GB and just 27 seconds for the 4GB. So it did make a difference there, but once the machines both started warming up and getting used to being shut down and rebooted, they were, you know, within seconds of, or tenths of a seconds between the two. And like you said on most of your comments before, with these types of machines, a lot of times you just put them to sleep. You don't want to shut them down and reboot them all the time. You just have them ready to go, open it up, touch it, and you're ready to go. So that was the boot one. Then I moved on to Lightroom. I did some testing as far as opening up my files that I have on Lightroom, doing some little play around and everything. And on the Lightroom, similar results on that. On the 4GB one, I came around about 10 seconds, 10.68 seconds to start it up, get all my photos loaded and everything and get ready to work. And on the 8GB one, it came down to like 7.65. So it did pull ahead on that, but as I said, I did it a couple times, and as the programs were exited and rebooted into, there's still like residual memory probably in there, so they were within tenths of a second between the two as far as shutting down and booting up back up again. So as far as I could see, the 4GB is a little bit slower, very minuscule. 8GB performed a little bit faster on some aspects of the testing that I did. So I went ahead and I opened up Photoshop on these two machines to see if I could get the same result, and surprisingly the 4GB actually outperformed on the 8GB as far as we're opening Photoshop and creating a new document and starting to do some new work on it. And I don't know why that was. Photoshop is a little more graphic intensive. They both have the same processor and video card and everything. The only difference is the 4GB and 8GB, but it consistently outperformed as far as starting up between the two in Photoshop. So that was a little mystifying as far as that is, but like I said, it was tenths of a second, maybe 1 second at the most between the two in differences. So I don't see that as a problem. Hopefully down the road with updates to Photoshop software, or even Windows updates, they'll see a little bit better performance in that, but it wasn't a performance that I would not want to work with. It was pretty quick. So overall, what I wanted to bring to you guys is, if you're on the fence about buying a computer and it comes down to spending a couple $100 more for RAM or so, whether it be 4GB, 8GB, 16GB, you want to look at the results that I've been getting on these two machines. They're identical except for the RAM, and it was just seconds, I mean tenths of a seconds between what was processing and what was going on with them. So I'd be happy with either machine. Like I said, they Microsoft came out with the 8GB version of the same one that I bought earlier in the year, And surprisingly enough, and I'm sure most of you know, that they just announced the Surface Pro 6. So this technically was the Surface Pro 5. A lot of people said it wasn't called the Surface Pro 5 when I was calling it that, but now that they've come out with 6, introduced that, will I be upgrading? Not sure yet. I do like the new black color that they've put on it. Otherwise, the design and everything is the same. New, the 8th generation processor from Intel. I'll probably stick with the 8GB RAMs if I do go with it, and I think the hard drive is a little bit bigger too, but I didn't really look into that too much. So I hope you liked the little comparison I did for these two machines, the 4GB and 8GB. Like I said, I haven't decided if I'm going to go to the Surface Pro 6 or not. I did like the new black color, and the Intel processor obviously got an upgrade on that. Let me know in the comments below as far as what you think of the new Surface Pro coming out. If you have either of these machines, let me know about that too. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time, guys. Have a good one.